Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, welcome in. We've made it to the halfway point of the week. Happy Wednesday morning, everyone. And in case you forgot, yesterday was Big 12 Media Days in Las Vegas. And this was the commissioner.
On the football front, we will be the deepest conference in America. Every week will matter. I'm going to say that one more time. We will be the deepest conference in America, and every week will matter.
Yeah, for mediocrity.
That was Brent, your mark yesterday. And
who's the best football program in that conference now? Hell, I don't even know who's in the conference.
Oh, it gets better.
You might not even have a conference, but they probably will survive. I mean, I will say that.
It gets better. Here, this is your mark defending the deepest conference remark. Oh, he had a lot to say yesterday. So did Mike Gundy. We're going to hear from him.
Well, I think there's a lot of parity. We've got 16 great coaches. We've got a lot of star power. You know, when you think about the quarterbacks, you think about the running backs. Many of our programs have been building over the last couple of years. So I think it's only natural and appropriate for us to think that way right now. We were a very deep conference last year, but we got deeper, now with the four corner schools. So I'm expecting great things from our schools this year. I think last year we underperformed a little bit, candidly. I don't expect that to be the case this year.
Oh, shocker, he'd say that when Oklahoma and Texas were still in the league.
We will brand the month as a race to a championship because I think it's going to be really tight this year, and it will take until towards the end of the season for us to determine who will show up at AT&T Stadium for that championship game.
So did he take a subtle shot at Texas and Oklahoma?
There's no question about that. MEDIOCRI. MEDICCRI. Damn, I gotta go.
You spelled mediocrity.
Yeah, I was kind of like I felt like I was snowman's trying to write a bill out to Big Enos and Little Enos Burdette. BIGEENEN. Damn, I gotta go.
Yeah, so that was Brent Yormark yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, throwing shade at Texas and Oklahoma for leaving, saying that they underachieved as a conference last year.
Why not just say you're excited for the new era of Big 12 football instead of having to be so catty and take shots like that and then make asinine statements saying you're the deepest league in America when everybody knows it's MEDI, whatever it is, MED.
So Texas and Oklahoma
CRITY.
I mean, I get it. Texas and Oklahoma, their fans, they have talked like they have won, a ton of things over the last few years. But Texas and Oklahoma, the one thing that they did give you as a conference, the Big 12 conference, was they gave you star power. They gave you star power. You look at the Big 12 conference right now. The SEC has plenty of star power. Plenty of star power. But you look at the Big 12 conference, and he mentioned the new four schools.
Tell me who's in the conference in its entirety, and I can tell you who's the best football team.
But who's the star power in the Big 12?
That's what I'm saying. So tell me who's in the conference.
Arizona State.
Mediocre.
Baylor, BYU.
Mediocre.
UCF, Cincinnati.
Mediocre.
Colorado, Houston.
Bad. Mediocre.
Iowa State, Kansas.
Mediocre.
Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Mediocre and decent.
TCU and Texas Tech.
Went from national championship game to toilet, and then Texas Tech's been mediocre since they got rid of the Pirate.
Utah and West Virginia.
Who? Utah's in that conference? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Both of them mediocre. I'd say Utah is good. If you had to ask me who the best team in that conference is, I'd say Utah.
Utah's the team that probably has the most star power, right?
I guess.
And it's not a bright star. I mean, it's a decent
I think
star,
Kyle Whittingham's a hell of a coach.
But it's not a national brand like an Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan.
No. Not at all.
So there you go. That's how we get you going on a Wednesday morning. Oh,
I can't wait to ask CJ Vogel of the football brainiacs. He's going to talk Texas at 8 o'clock. How good is the Big 12 now in football? Is it the deepest league in America?
Underperformed last year.
Yeah.
Underperformed.
Yeah, Texas only made the college football playoff, and
There
Oklahoma
you
won
go.
10 games. Shut up!
There you go. They made the college.
I mean,
football
come on.
the
You think
Big-
everybody's a mutton brain? You're sitting there trying to spin it like that? You look like a dumbass. You look like a petty idiot. I mean, you look like a schmuck is what you look like.
Yes.
Concentrate on basketball and baseball. Just get through it. Get somebody to the playoff. Lose 77-7. Wofford's used to that. I mean, that's pretty much what happened to TCU when they fluked their way into it. Never should have been there in a damn anyway because Michigan choked on it. Never should have let them beat them. Pathetic. Those guys weren't very good anyway. And that when you lose by 55 points or whatever the hell it was, you didn't deserve to be there anyway. You wasn't worth 10 cents. They only got there because they came out of the Bush leagues. Anybody has a problem with it, call in. I don't care.
256-576-4977. You can call in. Good time to do so. Coming up, you mentioned C.J. Vogel. We'll have him on this morning. We'll have Josh Pate on this morning as well, because we heard from Josh over the last couple days from his top 15 programs over the next 3 years and get his thoughts on the SEC and the deepest conference in America, the Big 12.
Well, you almost called it the Pac.
I almost called it the Pac-12. But anyway, that's how we get you going. The other big story, though, and it did come out of the Big 12. I wanted to say it again because it's in Las Vegas. And the
Yeah, why?
The Pac-12.
You just named all those schools. Nobody's near Las Vegas.
The Pac-12.
But they had to entice them to come to get a free vacation to do something.
The Pac-12 media days have been in Las Vegas. That's where they,
I mean, Oklahoma State is arguably the best program in that damn conference. Why not just have it in Oklahoma City?
Well, Oklahoma State is where we're going to go next because Mike Gundy is catching a lot of heat this morning.
Oh, no telling what Mullet said.
So we all know what happened. Ollie Gordon III, All-American running back, was pulled over last week driving 82 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone.
Yep.
He's swerving through traffic. According to the court affidavit, the probable cause affidavit, the trooper found open bottles of vodka and tequila in his car.
Real smart. Open bottles of vodka and tequila. That's just brilliant.
Gordon said he had one drink per the affidavit. He was taken to jail. He provided breath samples. 0.11, 0.10 was his sample.
But why you have open bottles in a car?
Yeah,
I mean,
he was booked on charges of DUI under the age of 21.
Yeah.
Having an open alcohol container, failure to maintain a single driving lane, and speeding. He was released on bond, okay? So Mike Gundy decides, and we've seen this in the SEC. We've been to SEC media days. Texas A&M was the last school that comes to mind where a individual on the heels of making an appearance at media days does something like this or does something stupid, the school decides not to bring them to media days. Mike Gundy does not change his mind. He brings Ollie Gordon to media days yesterday. Says that's going to be part of his thing. He's going to have to face the music. He's going to have to answer questions about it. Ollie Gordon apologized yesterday. Well, then Mike Gundy, if he would have stopped there, he would have been fine. But then he decides to let everybody know that this is going to be the punishment for Ollie Gordon.
You guys are essentially employees. You guys make lots of money to play this game. It's different than it was 5 years ago. And your punishment's going to be facing the facts. That's why we brought him here today. You're not going into hiding. You're going to face the music. You're going to have to stand up and talk to people and answer questions. And hopefully, more than football, you can learn from the situation you've been in. Because if not, then we have a real issue. But he's going to play. And I'm going to do what we think is best for Oklahoma State football. And I think it's best for Ollie to play. If there's any punishment, it's make him carry the ball 50 times in the first game.
Well, or just cut some of that NIL money.
He's not going to suspend him. He's not going to miss any time. He's going to play. And so
make him donate some of his NIL money to charity. That's what you do, since these guys basically are. He told the truth there. I have no problem with what Mike Gundy just said, because they are employees.
A lot of people are going against Mike Gundy this morning, saying because here you have a guy that has a DUI and stuff, he's not going to get punished. And Mike Gundy kind of made light
What happens in
about
the NFL when they get DUIs? Do they get suspended? Or do they pay a fine? What happens?
Usually they pay a fine.
There you go.
Because
that's what this is now. So just tell the truth. Only Democrats don't want you to tell the truth. Stupid asses. I'm sorry. But only idiots without common sense don't want you to just tell the truth. That's what this is. These people are employees now. They are highly paid. I'm sure Ollie Gordon's making at least high six digits, if not $1 million. Okay? So donate some of your money to those in need and play in the game. Okay? Luckily, thank the Lord, he didn't harm someone. Okay? That's the most important thing. He was speeding. He had open containers in the car. That's stupid. But pay the fine and then face the music, and then I think you should donate some money to charity.
His
good chunk.
NIL profile, according to On3, his worth is $790,000.
That's what I'm saying. There you go. So donate some of that money to those in need. Profusely apologize and just thank the good Lord that you did not harm someone. Because we lost 3 guys this past weekend, including a former Alabama defensive back, Kyrie Jackson, and their lives were taken from them by an idiot who was driving under the influence. So just thank the good Lord that you didn't harm someone, and now put some of that money to good use. You've got enough of it. You got plenty. You won't miss it from the standpoint of you'll still be living large in college. So give it to those in need. Help them. But again, I have no problem with him not being suspended. The game has changed. Gundy just said it. From 5 years ago, it's completely different. Right. It's a completely different game. You handle it differently. On to the next one. And thank the good Lord he didn't harm someone.
Right. I think that's going to be a change for people's mentality-wise. Because, in college athletics, it's always been separate from the NFL. That was what was the thing. It was separate, so college.
And everybody liked it to be separate, but it's not separate anymore, okay? The NCAA made sure of that because they certainly didn't change. Because they were too busy counting all the money they were making off of these guys' backs and didn't ever want to, they didn't want to change. They've never been a forward-thinking organization. They've always been reactive instead of proactive. So that's where we are. And so now Nick Saban and other people with common sense are going to have to help you reorganize it and clean it up. But that should be typical because the whole thing with the NCAA is they're always, reactive. They're always making stupid decisions, making stupid rules that made no damn sense anyway. And then counting their money and laughing all the way to the bank, with the NCAA basketball tournament. And still, in a lot of ways, I know the college football playoff is kind of separate. It's not an NCAA kind of situation, but they're still making money off these member schools. Who before name, image, and likeness, the NCAA, these guys were NCAA student athletes, and so you'd make a ton of money because still the NCAA is still getting their cut, man. They don't get as much as they do where they hoard it all in basketball and other sports, but you're still getting a cut.
All right, 7:15 on a Wednesday morning. That is how we get you going. That's how we get you fired up on a Wednesday. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We got to get a break in. More college football conversation on the flip side. Plus your phone calls, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Been watching one accident this morning.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Vandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Braves Radio Network.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family, because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual Military Tribute Night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the 5th straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/.
Overhead garage door service. Call 256-400-4500.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Beginning Friday morning, get $50 worth of delicious food from Coralejos Mexican Grill for just $25 with our zone deal at 977ESPN.com. Coupons good for food purchase only.
Sports Talk 24/7 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And we got there in that first segment talking about Mike Gundy catching some heat from not us. I say some national media outlets. Mike Gundy catching some heat because of his comments of saying he's not going to suspend Ollie Gordon for a DUI. And during the break, you and I were talking, and we're like, you know what? Kirby Smart went through similar situations. They've had a lot of guys over the past couple off seasons have guys, reckless driving, speeding, whatsoever, DUIs, and Kirby Smart has played it to the best of his cards and has gotten not around it, but those guys, internal suspensions, so to speak, and stuff like that. So,
and Nick Saban did the same thing.
Yes.
Nick Saban got criticized, but that's the way it's being handled now, and it's even more so. It swung to the other pendulum because of NIL. So, and we had someone text in, the alcohol, the open containers in the vehicle. That was probably bought with NIL money too. So that's where you hurt them. You hit them in the wallet.
We got a comment on Twitter that says, not sure what Gundy should do, but maybe get the players' attention before he becomes another Henry Ruggs down the road. Stallings suspended David Palmer and possibly saved Palmer's career or life when he was on the wrong track.
Yeah, that's a great point because, as Nick Saban's even said, if somebody had stepped up and told Ruggs not to get in his freaking car and to call an Uber, which he could have easily. We've already talked about the NFL Uber system and everything, all those advantages you have set up.
24 hours, 24/7. An NFL player has the ability to make a phone call and have somebody come get them 24/7. Every NFL player has that ability.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. If they had done that, then maybe that young lady and her dog wouldn't have lost their lives, and Henry Ruggs' life wouldn't be ruined. So again, just poor judgment.
All right, 256-576-4977. You can be a part of the show. Richard is with us. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. I was calling in about Palmer, and I couldn't remember what Stallings did. It may be because they let him play part of the season. I know he caught a lot of heat.
Yeah, they suspended him until Louisiana Tech in Birmingham in a driving monsoon because I was at that game. And he came back after a few games. And like Coach Stallings even told the media, and it was controversial at that time, he said, I feel like David Palmer needs the football program more than the football program needs David Palmer because what's going to happen to him if he doesn't have football? And so he had 2 DUIs and they suspended him, and that was how it was handled. Because when he got the second one, I thought he might very well be dismissed.
Right.
But Coach Stallings stuck his neck out for him, and I don't think David ever forgot it. And he never got in any other kind of issues off the field at Alabama or even really in the NFL.
Actually, that Louisiana Tech game, I think they returned a punt for a touchdown.
He did,
too,
and it was a 13-0 game. When he returned it, it was 6-0.
Yeah,
and it was the biggest play in the game because Alabama could not move the ball against La Tech's defense, and La Tech had a left tackle that was pretty good named Willie Rofe, who is now in the Hall of Fame.
No, yesterday you were talking about your buddy LeBron, but second-round picks, basically you can do anything.
Right.
So, I mean, you can give them no money, $100,000. There's probably a minimum.
Or your daddy can get you $7.9 million.
Yeah, but basically, you don't, you can, and Herb just signed a new contract a year ago.
Oh,
so
he did. He did get an extension.
Yeah, he did. I think he signed a 3-year deal, so he's on year 2.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully he'll in another couple of years he'll really get his third contract and get paid what he's worth.
Yeah, but basically, LeBron's son, you don't make $2 million in the second round. I mean, it's the thing. Most of these guys are. Well, I think J.D. Davidson's got the 2-way, and it's $300,000 or $400,000, in there, but it's not, $2 million.
No.
But one thing, and it's not football or basketball, but people, and I'm in finance, but people in small, middle-sized businesses, I've seen girlfriends on payrolls. Children on payrolls, brothers on payrolls, and not showing up for work. So it's not, it's who you're related to, helps.
Oh yeah, it can help, no doubt.
Yeah. So, on your, I was thinking about you were talking about the Big 12. Just think if Ole Miss went to the Big 12, Kiffin would be the best coach, and Ole Miss would be the best team in the Big 12.
Probably would, no doubt.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Think about this. Think about if Missouri went back to the Big 12, because Missouri
probably
was
wish
initially
they could,
in
but
the Big 12.
But if they could make the same money, but it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but like I said, you got a lot of these teams in the SEC. If they went to the Big 12, they would be the big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
but
you kind of think that if the commissioner was getting basketball and football mixed up, maybe.
Yeah, he just wanted to take pot shots at Texas and OU for leaving the Bush leagues and going to the bigs. Because I'm sorry, but it's these conferences' fault too that they haven't leveraged their brand well enough. Yeah. So many of them.
But I don't get it though. If they've underachieved, they still got a team in the playoffs last year.
They'll get one next year.
Yeah,
they'll get one this year. But what TV network are they on?
Right now,
Fox.
I don't know.
I think it's still Fox.
Yeah, they're part of the Big 12. I think they're part of the Big Noon or whatever they call it.
Big Noon kickoff with the Big Ten.
Yeah, Big 10 and the Big 12.
And now they'll have Deion to sell.
Well, I'm just saying, though, because, with the SEC with more teams, I don't know if they have any slots on ESPN or anything, but, most of, these games, it's going to be sort of like the ACC or almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bettor and want to see a game at, it's kind of like the old Pac-12, the 10 o'clock kickoffs were great, when you had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Or I guess if you were a bettor and lost money during the day to try to win it back. But like I said, UCF and and even Utah, they're both good, but you're not going to watch that over, say, Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
No,
the
you're not.
ESPN and Fox has the Big 12 deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew Fox had part of it.
Yep. ESPN and
Yeah,
Fox.
there's probably weird time slots or something out. So. Out, but we'll see you guys later.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Richard.
Yeah, that's who has the Big 12. First year of a 16 team that kicks off. They got 4 games. Let's see here. Wow, this will be a good one. Thursday, August 29th. Circle your calendars. This will be a barn burner here. New Hampshire is at UCF. Oh, boy.
Gus's press conference will be epic.
Lindenwood is at Kansas.
Nice. Are they going to let him in free?
Wow. And then North Dakota.
Come to the SEC, Kansas. I know you want to. Shock the world. Then they can go replace Kansas with some other meta muffin that's mediocre. But bring Kansas basketball to the SEC.
The Big 12 teams, they are relevant. That is for sure. They've got such games. Tarleton State is going to be at Baylor on August 31st.
I'd rather that be basketball, so at least we could know Izzy Miles is playing.
Yeah, Townsend is going to be at Cincinnati, in case you really want to know.
I don't.
These are some riveting non-conference matchups. Albany is at West Virginia. But they are the deepest conference in America.
MEDIOCRITY.
Oh, they are going to shock the world.
We like music on this show. We can just start calling it the cult of mediocrity.
But one of those teams, we got to say this, though, and this is the same way with the SEC. And we'll be sitting there next week in Dallas. Which one of these teams, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, which one of those or two of those will be making the college football playoffs? Somebody out of this group, Arizona State, Baylor, someone is going to make the college football playoffs.
Oklahoma State wants to be in the SEC. They don't even want, even if they're considered the best program in that league, they'd rather be in the SEC. But they're not.
Florida State wants to be in the SEC.
So does Clemson.
Neither one of them are going to be in there, I don't think.
I wouldn't take them. I'd take Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and Virginia until everybody to stick it. I'd dominate sports in every league. They wouldn't be able to touch me. That's what I'd do. I'd kiss my ass and get out of the room.
Well, they haven't been able to touch the SEC lately. Michigan broke through last year on the football side.
They always like to thumb their nose at the SEC in basketball. They'd be the biggest FU in history. And I can say FU without saying the rest of it. So there you go.
There you go.
Bert said it to Buford. Bandit said it to Buford. Do you understand what the letters FO mean?
Yes.
Smart aleck.
Yes. Oh, man. I tell you what. We need to get a vehicle. And we need to get a vehicle that has TVs in it so that on the road trip we can just play Smokey and the Bandit and just put it on a loop.
Yeah.
And then just play it 3 times or 4 times on the loop. And we can just have it in the car the whole entire way.
Well, I used to do that on break at one of my other jobs. Used to watch the VHS tapes one after another. Just watch one, then start watching 2, and then just start it over.
until the VHS.
The
problem with
old
the VHS
combo.
tapes,
It was a TV VCR combo.
right? But the old problem with the VHS tapes was, remember, you could watch it so many times, and you
I
knew
know.
the one that you
That
watched.
never happened. It never
would just-
started screwing up.
It would just like go out.
I did buy the DVD though, eventually, which had all 3 of them on it, including Buford T. Justice, The Fearless Law of Texas.
All right, let's get a break in. 7:31. When we come back, take your phone calls. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. A couple of folks still going to see the lower 90s, but overall a little cooler this afternoon compared to what we've seen over the last several days. We drop into the mid and upper 60s as we head into the overnight. Much the same for your Thursday as far as cloud coverage is concerned. A mostly to partly sunny sky, but we are going to be a little bit warmer. Temperatures climbing into the lower 90s, dropping into the upper 60s, lower 70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck on 565 eastbound at the Parkway. That one's reported as an injury type. One on Greenbrier Parkway at Greenbrier Road should be about wrapped up. That one was a no-injury accident. Snelling needs an experienced real estate closer. Must be able to prepare CD and HUD closing statements. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you enjoy 97.7 ESPN The Zone for all the best in sports talk, you'll love Talk Radio WZZN on 97.7 HD2. Don't have an HD radio? No worries. Download the app by searching for Talk Radio WZZN on your phone or visit the website at Talk Radio WZZN. Talk Radio WZZN features the best in talk from Fox News Radio during the day, plus Bill O'Reilly and his No Spin News at 6. Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This summer, make Cheeseburger Bobby's your go-to spot for great food. Try their bucket list burger, 2 beef patties, fried egg, bacon, onion ring, 3 slices of American cheese, Bobby sauce, and topped with a pickle. Their fresh, hand-breaded chicken tenders are a fan favorite, and the chili cheese dog with fries will make you think you've died and gone to hot dog heaven. Cheeseburger Bobby's, 2785 Carl T. Jones Drive. Order online at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back. Wednesday morning, it is 7:35. Coming up here, top of the hour, we will bring in CJ Vogel as we talk a little Texas football and Steve Sarkisian and the momentum and getting into the Big 12 or getting out of the Big 12 into the SEC. and year one expectations there. At the bottom of the hour at 8:30, our good friend Josh Pate will join us as we get his thoughts about the upcoming college football season and everything else going around there. 256-576-4977. You can reach out to us this morning, and that is where we shall go now. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, Brandon.
Morning. So, y'all were talking about watching the movies in the car. I was going to let you know, they make this thing called a magic box. And no, it will not make the Big 12 the deepest league in the country, despite the fact that they may want it to.
Oh, they already are the deepest. They are the deepest
IOC,
conference in America.
They may be the deepest in a 4-letter word, if they want to own up to that.
I don't
know.
But
this magic box, you can plug it up, and it will stream from your phone into your vehicle. And
Is that the thing I've seen on the TikTok shop that's about $40 or something that's like Apple compatible or something?
I bought one. We're about to find out. My buddy's got one in his car, and he says he rides around watching it all the time. And I told him if he'd quit doing that, he might not have to buy the rear end of a Hyundai the other day. But, 82 and a 60 swerving with open container, at least he wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
So, but when y'all were saying that, swerving to 82 and a 60, I thought y'all were going to say Steve Moulton got arrested.
Oh, Lord.
So
No, we're not going to do that to Moulton.
No.
Now, I will say this. I'm still getting over my neck pain. I don't want to end up back in traction or something, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, a traction machine will help your neck and relieve a lot of the pain on it. And I was given by one of my people that I know that live in Dallas yesterday, they say that Knife Dallas is a really good steak restaurant, and they do some steaks down there that are dry chamber aged for 240 days.
Uh-oh, Scott's going to Google this. He's Googling this.
What is it?
Knife Dallas.
Knife Dallas or nice? Knife?
Knife Dallas. So there's a guy named Chef John.
Chef John.
And he claims that the flat irons and stuff will just fall apart with a fork, like you just like cutting butter.
Well, if his name's John, then hopefully he likes chicken, because that's the only thing our John likes.
Or our John? Yeah, apparently he only eats chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, it's only chicken.
Take the guy to a fancy steakhouse and he wants a chicken sandwich.
That's all he wants.
That's like taking a girl to a really nice restaurant on prom and she orders chicken fingers.
Yeah. Okay. The prices aren't bad. Oh.
I've never had a 240-day dry chamber aged steak.
Look, I don't think we'll be going. I don't think we'll be going there.
Scott got to the appetizer menu and thought it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, the 90-day dry-aged 44 farm strip, a 22-ounce bone-in is $150.
Good Lord!
I know what you want. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. The 120-day dry-aged 44 farms 107 ribeye, a 32-ounce boned-in, recommended for two, it says, $200.
Crap, Scott could eat that, but 200 simoleons. Thing better be gold-plated. Have some truffles on it or something.
Gold-plated and call it the Trans Am steak.
Yeah.
It better come with an
call it the Eric Dickerson.
It comes with an all-you-can-eat salad bar. I don't know.
Or the Aggie Dickerson.
But you want the 90-day 109 ribeye, they say, is recommended for two. 90 days, not aged 30 days as long as the 120-day, obviously, but it's $180.
Oh, 20 less, huh?
Yeah.
A Biden gas tank. That's half a tank. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do they have any 90-day aged chicken?
Well, they do have poultry. You can get a Redbird roasted half chicken, $38.
That sounds like John. A Redbird roasted half chicken.
Oh, but you can get some kind of truffle pasta for $20. It's a truffle butter sauce for $29.
Just the sauce?
It's pasta with sauce.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the sauce is
$29.
No,
you can get a trophy and bolognese beef tenderloin, and pancetta tomato cream ragu for $25.
That sounds pretty dadgum good.
It does, but we won't be able to go to this steakhouse, though. It's a little too
highfalutin.
It's too highfalutin. Yes.
Yeah, Derek Lassick told me to tell y'all if y'all were wanting to try something on the higher end that's a good place to go. So I figured I'd throw that one to you.
Well, he also played for the Dallas Cowboys one time. He probably didn't have to pay for it.
It's definitely on the higher end.
This is a man that, remember, tried to fill the shoes of Emmitt Smith. How tough is that when he was holding out?
We need somewhere in between In-N-Out
I miss
and
TNT
this place.
on the NFL. I really do. I miss the NFL on TNT. I used to like it. It was good. It was underrated.
And we need somewhere in between In-N-Out and this place.
Yeah.
We need to find that steakhouse that's like $80, $60 for a
You'll
steak.
find it.
We'll find it.
Well, just as long as Arthur Seaton gives y'all something with air-conditioned seats, it should all be well.
I hope it's got a massager on it. Hell, far.
I don't know. Well, let's see, what is today, Wednesday?
Yeah.
In 48 hours, we'll know. I'll go out there on
That's
Friday.
a movie.
It is.
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
The hard one.
He made that. He made 48 Hours before Beverly Hills Cop. Did Eddie
Nick
Murphy.
Nolte is totally underrated. He was like a cop. He was like a Buford T. Justice's nephew.
I always saw him and Gene Hackman kind of along the same lines. They were just really, really good, solid actors that were very underappreciated.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
now we have someone suggesting the Saltgrass. They do have one in Hoover, too, but I did have the Saltgrass out in Fort Worth, Scott. It was quite good.
The Saltgrass?
Yeah.
Well,
what do we got going
I'll
on?
be heading out in the morning. I don't know if I'll be able to catch y'all or not. The plane takes off pretty early, but if we don't catch you for
Y'all be safe, man. Y'all enjoy Alaska. Have some good food.
Yes.
If there's any snow, send it to me.
Hey, I'm flying out on the helicopter to the glacier.
Oh, Lord. Here we go. That's going to be some good stuff.
We'll do that. But you're talking about movies. Hopefully, y'all don't come back with the theme of From Dusk Till Dawn.
No, we don't need that.
Maybe y'all get some sleep while y'all are out there. Roll
I
Tide.
hope so. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. I wanted.
What the heck is this? What is this opera music you're playing? Oh, Rox, this is the first. Roxy!
I don't want to go any further because I don't know if they say something bad.
I know, especially with Nolte in there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Every other word out of his mouth.
I don't know if it's going to be something bad. I just wanted to make sure we got the.
Now you've made that mistake before. I think Bandy was quick on the dump button.
No, Bandy looked at me like. Huh?
Well, no, I think he did. He's been pretty good with the dump button. He doesn't Ray Waller it.
The fact that we have to say he's been pretty good with the dump
He has. I got to give him credit for that.
The fact that we have to say that is what's funny.
Well, we just, you didn't realize what was going on with some of the clips.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Roxanne!
Oh, my goodness. I do love that. Eddie Murphy sitting in the recliner
Have you
portion.
seen the new one? I have not seen it.
The Beverly Hills Cop one?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Was it good? Just yes or no?
Yes. There were moments. Yes, I thought it was good. It was a rinse and repeat of one. It had a lot of stuff from one in it.
Yeah.
The plot and everything kind of about the same as one. But the music, I loved it because it paid homage to number one. It paid homage to number two. I did. I thought it was pretty good. Let's go to Wolverine Dan real fast. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Dan?
I saw it. I didn't like it.
So you didn't like it?
Officer Taggart looked like they put a vacuum hose in his butt and just sucked all the life out of him. He looked like he looked like a raisin.
Yeah, he looked very old. He did look very aged, and Rosewood, Billy Rosewood. I mean, he's put on a little weight.
Right.
He's put on a little weight. I thought it was good for what it was. I didn't have a lot of high expectations for it anyway because it was like just
Is it a
straight to
Netflix
Netflix.
deal?
Yeah. And so I mean, and Eddie Murphy when he made the number one. when he made the first one, he was only 23 years old.
Yeah, he was just coming into
He was just coming into his own. So, I mean, I didn't have a lot of huge things. For the nostalgia part, I thought it was pretty good just because of the fact that it paid like little homage and liners to number 1 and number 2.
Well, I've heard two things. They got the city skyline of Detroit. See, I know where all that is.
There you go.
That was the only. Now, for me, I think I might have liked it a little bit if he'd have done I didn't fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
Okay.
Now, if it had done that again, I would have liked that. That would have been cool.
Yeah. It's so like in number 1, he goes to the Beverly Hills Hotel, checks in, and they tell him it's like $100 or $200 a night or whatever.
Under Joe, it'd be $350.
Yeah. Well, he goes in there this time, and the ladies they tell him he only has a suite again, and they it's $800 a night.
Good.
And he's like, oh my gosh, it's gone up. So I mean, there's little things in there like those that are kind of fun.
The troubling thing for me, I just saw it about a second ago. You ever see those little things that surround a license plate that keeps the license plate tacked to the car?
Yes.
And it's got a saying on it.
Yeah.
Well, it was AAA something, and it said for Obama. And I went, what?
Here we go.
Is he coming back?
No,
he can't.
No. No.
Thank God.
I'll see you later.
All right. We got a message that says we went to this steakhouse in Grapevine a few years back and liked it so good we went to the one in Nashville, Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Yeah, that's the second time somebody's mentioned Bob's Steak and Chop House, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good, Scott. You might have to get on that.
Got to find out where it's at. Just can't be driving all over the place. I don't know.
It won't be me.
Well, I mean, I don't know how far Wes wants to drive around.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's anyway. Let's get a break in. When we come back, wrap up hour 1 of what's been a fantastic show.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That wreck that was reported eastbound on 565 at the Parkway is actually on the Parkway northbound. Looks like HPD is going to close the number 1 and number 2 lanes there. They're pushing all the traffic over into the University and 565 exit lanes. Not sure how long that one's going to take, but it is reported as an injury type. Had one on Greenbrier Parkway at Greenbrier Road. That one should be about ready to clear. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
Man, I appreciate what you guys do. I know credit got Drew, Talkin' Ball 7 until 9 on my show when I feature Drew, and certainly have a great relationship with Wes and Steve and Tom.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual Military Tribute Night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the 5th straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/events.
To the right of you, who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise in the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back, Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN.
Been a classic first hour.
It has.
Mine wasn't bad.
Oh, we just found out 1982
For 48 hours.
for 48 hours.
With the great Nick Nolte.
1982 for 48 hours.
I mean, I've never seen anybody smoke a cigarette like Nick Nolte and Jackie Gleason.
Oh man, and that was at a time. Well, in the 80s, I guess it was still somewhat cool to do that in the movies. Certain actors, it was their.
Don't forget, that's only 4 or 5 years after Smokey and the Bandit when.
Right. But it's
40,
some actors like Jackie
Gleason
Gleason in that movie and stuff. I mean that just added to.
Yeah.
It added to everything.
Yeah.
Apparently we got another town hearth. Apparently we need to go to Town Hearth and have steak in Dallas. Look, I'm telling you right now, though, the thing is if you go to Fort Worth, you drive over to Fort Worth and you go down to the where they do the cattle drive, there's a steakhouse like every 10 feet. It's like going down to a mini Las Vegas, and instead of walking into casinos, you just walk into steakhouses. They're like every 10 feet. And so, I mean, they're all over the place. Dallas, the steakhouses are all over the place in Dallas.
And hell, Texas is such a massive state. I mean, look, I had to sit through that yesterday. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of overrated.
Oh. Well, look, though, we sit there and we say right now, like, we make fun of Texas because...
But they're bringing a lot to the conference, I'm taking shots, but they are bringing a lot.
But on the football side, though, they did make the college football playoffs last year. There is great... And C.J. Vogel here in a couple minutes is going to join us.
And they've got a great shot to make it again.
I was just going to say, you look at college football right now, and is there a clear-cut runaway #1 team right now in college football?
No.
Is it possible that Georgia, Texas, Alabama, those are the three. I'm going to use Georgia, Texas, Alabama. I'm going to say Ohio State because of all the money that they are paying for a team right now. And then I'm going to say Oregon. I'm going to put them in there. Is it possible? And then, you know what? I'm not even going to put anybody from the ACC because I think Florida State's going to take a couple steps back this year. Is it possible that those 5 are the 5 that win the national championship?
Possible.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it's wide open. My point is that it's wide open. And I think Texas has just as good a shot as anybody to win the national championship this year, their first year in the SEC.
And don't forget, Florida State's starting quarterback is going to be DJ Uiagalelei, third team.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up in the second hour.
Yeah,
he's in the headlines. He's in the news.
He decided to be yellow and not face the media and pay homage to the 2023 group. Great.
Yes, that's the story. But
such a gesture. So they didn't get a chance to be Wofford. Even though Georgia's good at making people look like Wofford, they certainly made the depleted FSU look like that.
Yes. But Georgia will be the preseason number 1 team in America.
Probably, yeah.
And then, I mean, if Alabama comes out and Alabama is 5, 6, 7, and 8, are you okay with? I mean, preseason rankings mean absolutely nothing. But Texas will be right there as well. Texas is going to be 2 or 3 in the country in the preseason rankings. Expectations for Texas this year, after making the college football playoffs, now you're going into the legitimate deepest conference in America, the best conference in America, the SEC. It's not going to be as easy. Last year, don't forget, Oklahoma beat Texas.
Yeah, we've talked about that all week.
Yeah.
Only regular season loss.
All right. CJ Vogel will join us in a few minutes.
Very, very well versed in the Longhorns.
He is. And I imagine he was at the party. When they ushered into the SEC era.
Yeah, maybe they even had Usher there. I didn't watch it.
No, we know who they had.
I didn't watch it.
We found out on this show who they were going to have. They had
show? What kind of
on this show?
Yeah.
We found out who they were going to have before they had the party.
Yeah,
Pitbull.
Yeah. I know. We were told by somebody. Jeff Howe. He told us Pitbull was going to be there. What happened? Last thing I saw him in was a beer commercial.
Pitbull has not done anything.
No, he hadn't.
In a while. Let's see here. Last Pitbull song. Wow, not 2012. I'm trying to figure out his last one that he actually did. I don't even know. All right. That's going to do it for hour number 1. I think we've thrown everything we could at everybody in 1 hour. Apparently, I don't have any Pitbull there. There we go. Anyway. We're back at it. Hour number 2. CJ Vogel coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Tonight, it's the first of 5 tune-up games for Team USA men's basketball. They'll take on Canada in Las Vegas. And it's on to Abu Dhabi, where they'll play Australia and Serbia. Following that, a pair of games in London, England. They'll battle South Sudan and Germany before the Olympics get underway on July the 28th. The first game against Serbia in the group stage. Steph Curry says the team's confident.
We got shooters all over the floor. That's the beauty of USA being with this team. Speaking for it.
Team USA is the favorite to win the gold at minus 550. Canada second, plus 1,100. France at plus 1,500. Then Serbia, plus 1,800. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual military tribute night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the 5th straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/events.
In-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com.
The only lanes that are open northbound on the Parkway at 565 are the University exit ramp and the 565 eastbound and 565 westbound ramps. They've got a wreck just north of 565 that's blocking everything up. Major slowdown there. If you can avoid it, you might want to try to do so. Greenbrier Parkway and Greenbrier Road should be clear now. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Join us next week, live from Dallas, for SEC Media Days. 9 hours a day of coverage on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 8:02 on a Wednesday morning. Welcome back into the program. As we've mentioned, less than a week, we will convene in Dallas, Texas for the 2024 edition of the SEC Media Days. The expanded field, and we got to go back a few years ago. We were sitting in Hoover, and we caught everybody by surprise. It seems like forever ago that news broke at SEC Media Days that Texas and Oklahoma were coming into the league, and a lot of people there in Hoover thought it was a joke. They thought it was a joke. They thought someone had gotten on Twitter and spoofed everybody. Well, come to find out, it was not a joke. Now here we are, 2024. We're going to be driving to Dallas. Texas and Oklahoma are officially part of the league. Texas, for their part this year, they made the college football playoffs last year. Steve Sarkisian's got a lot of talent on that roster this year, and expectations are not to just make the college football playoffs, but to win a national championship.
Yeah, no question about it. And we're going to talk to CJ Vogel, college football insider and recruiting analyst now with On Texas Football. New on the scene, but certainly, after joining the fray in May of 2023, they've already got, names that you'll know in the business if you've been around recruiting, college football. When you're talking about Bobby Burton, Gary Hamilton, Rod Babers, and, of course, our guest, CJ Vogel, who's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. CJ, we appreciate the time this morning to talk about Longhorn football. Now that they're officially in the SEC July the 1st. How are you, man?
Good, guys. It was a long time coming. It was a long 3 years to have to sit and wait for the official SEC celebration. So glad I'm here. Glad to be able to talk some ball with you guys.
Yeah, Scott's going to ask you about the celebration.
He's going to ask you. 3 years ago that we found this out. I couldn't remember how long it was.
That's right. So how was the celebration, CJ? I'm sure you guys were all over it and covering it.
No, it was a blast. And I think Texas did a great job of really encapsulating, how much this should mean to the university and to its athletic department, right? The SEC is the most prestigious conference, not only just across football, but you look at what it's done in basketball in recent years. And, with baseball being, the most dominant conference in all of college athletics at the moment, too, really, really exciting for the future of Texas athletics. And they did a great job. Texas fans are over the moon to get to play A&M again and get to see Arkansas. But again, you get to travel to Baton Rouge, Tuscaloosa, Athens. You get to go to the Swamp. It's very exciting. It's a level up from where they have been, and there's a lot of excitement down in Austin, Texas currently.
So I know the last couple of years, Texas has had to say all the right things. Our focus is on staying in the Big 12, doing everything right here in the Big 12. We're not concentrated on the SEC yet, but we all know behind the scenes they were preparing to make this move. What did Texas have to do to actually prepare to make that move to the SEC. I mean, how far off were they from the Big 12 to the SEC?
They had to hire Sark.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, what else did they have to do to prepare to get ready for this move?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Sark definitely helped. You're able to take a number of assistants from the University of Alabama like Jeff Banks and Kyle Flood, AJ Millie. I mean, these guys understand what it takes to win in the SEC and to win at the highest level. To me, the biggest thing that needed to happen at the University of Texas, and one thing that we have certainly seen since this staff, kind of program takeover, has been fringe recruiting, right? The University of Texas has recruited pretty well over the last decade plus, despite not necessarily putting up good numbers on the field, the win-loss category. However, Sarkisian and his staff took over back in 2021, and there were 9 offensive linemen on scholarship. Meanwhile, there were 17 wide receivers, and you start doing the math, and you start thinking, you're like, why is this the case? This shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't have 2 times as many wide receivers and offensive linemen. So the first spring in which the staff was on campus, they couldn't do a full spring game because there just weren't enough bodies on the offensive line. So a complete, kind of 180, if you will, when it comes to how they should recruit, where they should recruit, and the type of bodies that they should recruit has occurred. And it's certainly paid off so far, obviously 12-2 a year ago. And again, now that you have a full 3 deep of offensive linemen, you feel confident in the ability to go out there and compete with the big boys in the SEC and across the country. And it's all because of how this staff has gone out and their kind of, mindset about recruiting has changed 100%.
Well, and then for our listeners, let us know. We know Bo Davis was a high-profile loss for the staff, and I thought he did a great job with the defensive line as he's done everywhere he's been at Texas. He turned out NFL players. Texas was outstanding in the trenches and especially against the run. I thought that their defense was a huge reason in their front with the way they were able to wear Alabama down and beat the Tide in Tuscaloosa. But was there any other significant losses coaching staff-wise besides Bo Davis, and how do you think they've done replacing a guy like that?
Yeah, losing Coach Davis was pretty tough for Texas, right? You had 2 interior defensive linemen drafted in consecutive years for the first time in over a decade, and of course Byron Murphy, Fondre Sweat were probably one of the best interior duos that you had in all of college football. They went out and they replaced him with Kenny Baker, an assistant with Miami Dolphins a year ago by way of UT Chattanooga. I like him. I think he's charismatic, more of a developmental guy. We'll have to see how much he can get out of his group this year. Aside from Coach Davis, Jeff Choate departed, the inside linebackers coach, departed for Nevada to be the head coach out west. So Texas went out and added Johnny Nansen, the former defensive coordinator for Arizona a year ago, who Arizona had a tremendous year defensively.
They did.
I believe they were top 15, top 20 in scoring and total defense last year. And, of course, they were able to put out, 6 turnovers in the bowl game against Oklahoma at the end of the season. So the returns have been very high on Coach Nansen right now. Of course, he has a lot of ties to the West Coast and has some sort of fingerprint in all of the 3 defensive tackles that Texas was able to accumulate out of the portal this offseason as well. He's done a great job so far. Eager to see what else he can do in the X's and O's category this upcoming season.
How much more can they get, and how much more do they need to get out of Quinn Ewers at the quarterback spot?
Well, and tied in, Scott, they lost some big-time weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, they lost A.D. Mitchell, who was always a clutch guy. Xavier Worthy, fastest guy in the draft. Jatavian Sanders, big-time tight end. But I think they're still confident, though, CJ, in their weapons that they've replaced them with.
Yeah, I think so, right? Before all the portal additions, there were only 8 returning receptions at the receiver position on this roster. And they were all belonged to Jonte Cook, a borderline 5-star true freshman a year ago. So you needed bodies. You needed plenty of experience and veteran ability. And I think they went out and did exactly that, right? Isaiah Bond from Alabama, Silas Golden from Oregon State, Matthew Golden from Houston. All 3 guys come in with 40-plus catches a year ago, and all 3 come in looking like they should be big-time contributors. So the first question about Quinn Ewers, to me, it's, and we've talked about it in Texas kind of channels, saying he needs to put the cape on, if you will, right? To be a guy that's considered a top 5, top 10 draft pick, as he is currently going into this year, you have to be able to take over football games. And I think right now, you saw that at times with Quinn a year ago, right? Alabama's a game that you could look at. The Texas Tech game and Oklahoma State games towards the end of the season, which Texas won in blowout fashion, you saw him be able to just take over football games. But then there were a few other games where you sit there and you start thinking, it's like, maybe this isn't the first-round guy that we thought, right? Wyoming, Rice, Kansas. Texas gets out to slow starts at times, and it's kind of bewildering. 5 games a year ago, he only had 1 passing touchdown.
Yeah.
While Texas is putting points up on the board, you expect more from a former number 1 overall commit and a guy that's expected to go very high in the NFL draft. So that, to me, is how I think you see the next step, is that consistency from the first snap, from the first possession, lasts throughout the entire ball game. Because, again, Texas did do a great job of getting him Quinn Ewers some talent, some guys that can go out there and make plays. I think it's all about him finding that consistency for Texas to go in and put points on the board, or at least move the ball possession after possession.
And I will say, the one thing I love about Sark, and he's still my favorite OC of the Bama era under Saban, is he stays consistent, pounding the football and running it. He did it against Alabama last year. He's also not afraid to play young guys at the running back spot. From what I understand, they still really like their running back room going into this year. Detail where that stands right now for the listeners.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more underrated aspects of this team, right? You return 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen from a year ago, and the 5th guy is going to be your 6'6", 360-pound right tackle that got a start against number 24, Kansas State, a year ago. So a lot of excitement with that offensive line unit, and as a result, the running back room should be very eager to get the ball behind them, right? Jaden Blue is probably a no-name, kind of conference-wide at the moment.
Right.
However, according to Real Analytics a year ago, he was the fastest ball carrier in all of college football. And I think that's something that Texas is very much going to have an identity of, and that's a lot of speed. C.J. Baxter, the running back next to him, is going to be a second-year former 5-star running back out of Florida. So that's going to be your 1-2 punch for the Longhorns. And so they're very excited. They've talked about it in the spring about what it means to have a good stable of running backs, and I think that they do. They brought in 2 freshman running backs this past cycle, Jarrett Gibson from IMG Academy and Christian Clark out of Arizona. It's going to be a deep room, and at the top, these guys are expected to have big-time moments, and I think that they'll be capable of doing just that behind this offensive line.
They'll get a good test September 7th when they travel to Michigan, Texas, and the thing is it's not going to define the season because, there's still plenty of games after that and the new playoffs thing. But that's where we're really going to kind of find out, about this Texas team.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think, again, the identity of this Texas team a year ago was that interior kind of defensive pressure, right? And, you have Devondre Sweat, you have Byron Murphy, but you also had Jalen Ford, who ended up being picked by the Saints in last year's draft, as well as your middle linebacker. That run defense was elite a year ago, and it was the first time in quite a while you could say that for Texas. Now that those guys are gone, what will that approach look like when you go up and you have to face a Michigan program whose more or not entire identity has been, kind of pounding the ground and owning that line of scrimmage? Now, obviously, Michigan loses a lot offensively, but at the same time, that mentality, that philosophy is not going to go away anytime soon. For Texas, it's going to be a big test because right now it's a big question mark. They go out and they add a lot of pieces from the portal on the defensive line, but none, I would say, are of the caliber of what we saw with Sweat and Murphy a year ago. So it's going to be a big question. It's going to be a big test. My thing is, if Texas is able to get out to a strong lead early, will you be able to see a Michigan offense start moving the rock through the air late in the ball game? That's my question at the moment. But as a result, you have to stop Michigan early to get into that position. And that's going to be a big question mark coming in this season for Texas defensively.
And that's a perfect segue as we're wrapping the segment up. CJ, what is the expectation defensively for Texas, even though they've lost some, their defensive line coach, they've had to change there, and then they lose two great players, on that front line?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think a year ago you saw Texas squander 20-point leads a few times. Kansas State, they were up 20. Houston and TCU, they were up 21. You sit there and you wonder, and while they won all those games, you sit there and wonder, okay, it was the pass defense that really allowed teams to get back into games, right? It was when teams needed to abandon what game plan they came into the game with and just find ways to move the football through the air, they were able to have success. Well, Texas has done, in my eyes, a very good job of adding athleticism to their secondary. On top of that, their edge room is looking as deep as it has been, and really, I would say, since the Matt Brown era. And that's with the addition of Trey Moore out of UTSA, who has 22.5 sacks in the last 2 years. You add 5-star Colin Simmons out of Duncanville. In return, everybody from a year ago, that was pretty solid. So it's very deep on the edge room, and you have a very talented secondary. My focus now is saying, Steve Sarkisian saying, yeah, okay, we're going to be able to score points. That's not going to be a question mark under my offense with my group that's returning right now. We need to stop the quick scores from opponents. And so they revamp the entire secondary, and they get some pass rushers. They say, yeah, if you want to be able to run the football, go for it. Because I don't think in the third and fourth quarters you'll be in a position to run an entire clock off with your running game and sustain, a 1-2 score deficit with us. I think that's the philosophy with the Texas offense and defense right now that I see. And so I see the vision, but at the same time, you have to make sure that run defense and that complementary pass defense doesn't get you off the big deficits early in ballgames.
I know every Longhorn fan is looking forward to the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma, Cotton Bowl. But that November 30th game with Texas A&M, how big is that one?
Yeah, that might be, for me, the biggest game of the season. And I know Texas and Michigan's a big one. I know, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan. There's plenty of big games. For folks outside of the state of Texas, you may not truly understand what this game meant, right? It was played on Thanksgiving for years and years and years. Houses are divided. Streets are divided. There's no two, hot spots for these two fandoms throughout the state of Texas. They're scattered everywhere. So any block that you might see, there's going to be 5 Texas fans and 5 Texas A&M fans. For this game to return after the hiatus that it's been on, it's going to be huge for the game of college football. It's going to be huge for folks to understand how much this game means to folks inside of Texas, and hopefully to the larger picture of college football, this game has some sort of implication on the college football picture in terms of the playoff, right? I think that would be awesome. Texas obviously expecting to be in that conversation. Texas A&M in year one under Mike Elko certainly figures to be competing for a spot in that playoff towards the end of it, but I do think it's the biggest game of the year. I think going to College Station, final week of the year, the hatred that these two teams share is going to be very special. Under the lights on a Friday night, it's going to be really, really exciting for college football fans everywhere.
Well, CJ Vogel on Texas football, man. Let everybody know how to connect with you, and we really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. You can find me on TexasFootball.com, covering all Texas Longhorns and SEC, and as well as on at CJ Vogel _OTF on Twitter.
Thank you, man.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, CJ. We forgot to ask him what it was like to leave the deepest conference in America.
Who cares? They're just so glad to be out of that.
I found that amazing. CJ, he even said
cult of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Remember? Well, like I said,
they were
not
ecstatic.
The cult of personality, not the fake song. The cult of mediocrity.
Let's get a break in. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, The Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's The Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere. Called our burgers totally insane. And at Bad Daddy's, we take that as a compliment. But it's not just burgers. Up first, starters like our fried pickles, wings, or poblano frites. Second, try one of Bad Daddy's giant chopped salads. Third, our famous chef-inspired burgers with lots of different taste options. And before you head home, finish up with one of our shakes or delicious banana pudding. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and Clift Farm in Madison.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back. Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN Zone. 8:24 on a Wednesday morning. Here was the song that you were referencing.
Yeah, I screwed it up at 7, Dust.
One of the deepest conference in America.
Yeah, I can't wait to ask Josh about that.
Because, everybody's going to say, well, you know what? The SEC's not that deep. The SEC is good, but it's top heavy. It's only 4 or 5 teams. That's what the argument is. When we get into this deepest conference in America, it always turns out to be, well, you know what? The SEC is not as great as they say they are because The bottom half of the league, the bottom half of the SEC is bad. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and then the bottom half of the league is not that great. And the rest of the conferences, they can go 8 or 9, 10 deep in there. The SEC is just top heavy. That's the argument. That's what people say.
The cult of mediocrity. That's what I say. The Big 12. And if the SEC steals Kansas, it'll be mediocre basketball too. Houston will have to carry the flag.
Oh, yeah, because, right now you look at it, and Colorado is the bottom of the league. You would have to think Colorado would be in the bottom.
Not in basketball. Football.
Yeah, I'm talking about football.
What have they done?
Arizona State. The best, though, Kenny Dillingham did say.
No, the best is Shiloh Sanders declaring for bankruptcy. What the hell is that about?
To get out of a lawsuit.
I guess. He's also only decent.
The best was Kenny Dillingham yesterday saying that the hardest part about making the transition from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 was that they're going to actually have to start to prepare for fans in the stands when they travel to road games.
Well, there you go.
because it's going to be a little bit louder when they go on the road.
Not going to be a bunch of Democratic crickets.
Oh, so you
with mask on.
So you did allude to this in hour one. The story is DJU, who is on his third team. He has made the travels from Clemson to Oregon State. Now he is the starter at Florida State. He did have his best year last year at Oregon State. He had his best year. He threw for 2,638 yards in 12 games last year. His best numbers as far as passing yards go. He's a fifth-year COVID super senior. He's at Florida State. Florida State tabbed him to go to ACC Media Days to represent the school. DJU politely declined to go on behalf and represent Florida State, saying that it should go to somebody that was there last year so that they could pay tribute to last year's class or last year's success.
Just try to become a pro prospect because he's been all hype and not enough production. That's why he's on his third school. DJ Uyunga third.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody turning down.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And it's really not an invite. It's if the school selects
represent your team.
Yes,
if they select
you represent your
on.
school and your
It's
team.
supposed to be an honor, man. Just say you don't want to talk to the media.
Well, okay. So
they don't ask about all the interceptions you threw at Oregon State.
At least he's saying he doesn't want to go beforehand.
And are you the most overrated five-star ever?
He's not like somebody else who.
Are you related to JT Daniels?
There we go.
In a past life.
That's where I was going with this. That's where I was going. Because JT Daniels goes to SEC Media Days. Was that his first year?
I think it was
that
his
his first year?
When he had the nervous breakdown.
At Georgia, was that his first year?
No, I believe it was his second.
Because he gets to SEC Media Days, goes through half of the day, and then stops doing interviews with everybody because he was too frazzled and mentally shook to do any more interviews.
Right. I don't think our next guest is going to be shook to take an interview. He's a great interview.
No, he is, and he's had a lot of things to say, and he came out, and we played some of his clips yesterday. He has his 15 teams that he says will be the top 15 programs over the next 3 years. The number one program over the next 3 years, he says, without a doubt, is Georgia. The number two program, he says, over the next 3 years is Alabama. And he says, you better get ready for it because Kalen DeBoer has already proven that he can recruit. And, maybe his best years are at Alabama. That's what he says about Kalen DeBoer. We'll let him explain it all in his own words and more next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual Military Tribute Night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the 5th straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/events.
HVAC, air conditioner repairs done left and right, and we're here to serve.
Talk about the services that Talent Heating and Air can provide.
So Talent Heating and Air, we can come out, we can fix your unit, we can replace your unit, or we can just do maintenance on your unit. We cover all aspects of anything to do with your house and HVAC, from mini splits to gas pack.
In the name of free, Talent Heating and Air offering several free things.
That's right. We're offering a free second opinion. We always offer that year round. And then we're also offering a free service call with a repair during regular hours. So
okay, it's Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call at
256-503-4490.
You can also find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Give Talent Heating and Air a call today.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Each week, check out our latest zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Over the last few days, yesterday we played a couple clips of our next guest, Josh Pate, who put out his top 15 programs over the next 3 years, and he's had some interesting points there. He's also had some interesting points about Kalen DeBoer and coming into Alabama and recruiting at a high level when there were question marks by some on whether or not he could get it done. And he's answered that call very well. And I am sure he is eagerly anticipating the trip to Dallas as well.
He is, no doubt about it. And there's no question he's one of the best voices, in my opinion, in all of college football. He does a great job for 24/7 and for CBS Sports, hosting his Late Kick Live show and, of course, the Late Kick podcast, covering the great sport of college football out of Nashville, Tennessee, and that is Josh Bay. Josh, it's been a while. I hope you've had a great summer, man. How you doing?
I have, as I've told you guys before. In this time of division in this great country of ours, if you want to bring people together, just put out a top 15 ranking in college football. Because the thing about rankings, and especially if you're going to do it over 3-year periods, is everybody agrees on everything. I don't know that I've had a single person with a dissenting opinion on, for instance, me putting Michigan at number 9, but Ohio State at number 3. That went over great in Ann Arbor. Auburn was left out of the top 15, and they took that wonderfully down there. So, yeah, it's been a happy, happy time in July.
Well, the one thing you and I have been able to agree on is I do think that Alabama is going to have – it's not going to be seamless, but they're going to have a strong transition to Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I think that if you were to play back the last, 6 months or so, 5 months or so, it seems like 5 or 6 years. Because it used to be that for someone to have their opinion be a guy's not going to be able to get it done, and then you end up thinking, he's going to be able to get it done at a high level. It used to take multiple seasons to change one's mind on that front.
Dabo Swinney.
Nowadays,
yep.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, a guy gets hired in January, and he ain't going to be able to get it done. And then a few guys transfer on him, and it's I told you so. And then spring comes and goes, and then the next recruiting cycle cranks up, and Alabama does what Alabama's pretty much always done. And now I guess he is legitimate. Meanwhile, his record is still 0-0 at Alabama. But I will say now, any detractor of Kalen DeBoer and his future there always led with recruiting. No one ever said, well, that guy's not going to be able to coach or he's not going to be able to hang on game day down here. I don't think anyone, I think hardly anyone was foolish enough to go that route. And if they were, it was just foolishness because they didn't know much about him, which is fair if you didn't know much about him. If you know about him, he's one of the best in America at that portion of the game. Talent acquisition was the question. They've answered that emphatically, and I think I had one holdout. I got one buddy of mine that's kind of a holdout saying, all right, I still don't think he's going to recruit very well. There's just a newness factor here. They're peeling the sticker off right now, and there's a lot that once the rest of the conference figures out about him and how to recruit against him, this won't last. I will bet a sizable portion of money to charity, of course. This will last. Yeah, I think you're seeing. I think you're just seeing the way it's going to be there under him.
Yeah, and I love the fact that when you put all this together, you said that he walked into a situation where Nick Saban left everything at a high level for him. The facilities, the people, the talent, everything was built at a high level. And who would not want to walk in to that spot?
This is one of the great misnomers in sports. The saying has always been, no one wants to follow a legend. I've never understood it. I know why people say it, but
right.
I've never understood it because from a competitor standpoint, that's not the way you should think. Now, here's the difference. The difference, as we've seen in college football for a long time, is a lot of times if you follow a legend, it also means the legend stayed too long, a la Joe Paterno at Penn State, or God rest his soul, Bobby Bowden at Florida State. In their prime, especially Bowden at Florida State, in his prime, that may have been the best program in the country. Well, imagine instead of Bowden sticking around through the mid-aughts, let's say he stepped away in 1995. You're telling me that no one would want to take over and step in at Florida State? Of course they would. And the reason is because they themselves would be inheriting everything that helped Bobby Bowden be great. Just like now, Kalen DeBoer is stepping in, and he is inheriting a lot that Nick Saban built, and therefore the things that help Nick Saban succeed. Now, the counter to that is, well, Josh, there's one thing Nick Saban also had that helps him succeed, and that he was Nick Saban. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. Nick Saban is the best to ever do it, so you will never hear me speak ill of him. But the thing about Kalen DeBoer, or anybody who's actually qualified to get the job, is the very nature of them being qualified to get the job is they're pretty good themselves. So if they're pretty good themselves and then they step in and they have all of the resources afforded them, there's been no erosion of the program. The program hasn't dropped off. There's no looming sanction or anything. For a one percenter, for a type A alpha personality, who among them wouldn't want to take over for a legend if the situation is still A+?
And Josh, I'm gonna have to ask about Brett Yormark. We led that off the show, saying that the Big 12 is the deepest conference in America. What say you?
You know that I called the Big 12 America's College Football Conference last month, and I thought we were going to have to bring National Guard into my reply. So I think there's a big, big difference in the way you can choose to look at this game. You can choose to look at the game strictly as how many national championship contenders do you have in your conference? And if you do that, the Big 12 is not even in the conversation. Or you can look at the game and say, yes, I acknowledge that. And come December and January, those conferences will be the ones I'm talking about. But there's also this matter of this year, I guess we have 14 Saturdays because it's a 2-bye-week year. And in those 14 Saturdays, I do not think there's a conference in the country that offers more competitive balance and a more top-to-bottom entertaining product than the Big 12. Now, that doesn't always equal depth, other than depth of competition. And I think that's what Yormark's talking about. Now, he understands the sleight of hand and how he words things, and he's also a brilliant and tactical marketer, probably better than any other commissioner there is in this sport. And so I get what he's saying over there, and it's absolutely meant to rub people sideways in other conferences and other parts of the country. But did you guys also notice a couple of years ago, it was all but written that the Big 12 was going to implode, and then it would just be the ACC and the SEC and the Big 10 and the Pac-12. And, that guy's still standing, and that conference is still standing. They've added teams, and he was pretty aggressive, albeit vague, in his wording yesterday at Big 12 Media Days and saying, I don't think we're done yet. I think it would be foolish to say we're done expanding. And he kind of talked as if he's a shark in the middle of a feeding frenzy. And I want to remind folks that conference realignment story is not done yet. We're in the process of it. It's not done yet. And I think unlike some of these other commissioners, that guy comes from the world of building. That guy comes from the world of media conglomerates. And so, if you're finding something out about conference realignment, that's the kind of guy who's known about it for a couple of years. And it would be, this question notwithstanding, yeah, we all got to laugh at what he said yesterday, but that notwithstanding, that's the one every time I talk to people in our circles at the higher levels, that's the guy they say not to overlook. Don't take him for granted. Don't measure him lightly. That's the kind of guy that will be standing at the end of the day. So I don't know where the Big 12 will be a year from now, but I'd be willing to bet you it looks even different than it does today.
So one of the questions that we'll probably get at SEC Media Days, and I'm sure they got it at the Big 12 Media Days, is where does Florida State and Clemson end up in all of this?
I don't think they know. I think they have an idea of where they'd want to be. I think they wanted to be in the Big 10. I do not believe that's going to happen for academic reasons. That's not something we normally talk about on this program, but I think there's a lot to that. I think the SEC could have them today if they wanted them. I think the hand has been reached across the table on the other end, and I don't think it's been reciprocated to this point from Birmingham. So as of this moment, I wouldn't guess SEC either. I think that those folks would scoff at the idea of the Big 12, and I know why. They would look around and say, wait, I mean, if we're going to the Big 12, why don't we just stay in the ACC? Well, maybe they will. I think there's still a lot of haze about this because there are a lot of moving parts and there are a lot of signatures you have to get to sign off on any move, and they all have ulterior motives. It's kind of political. It's strategic. It's heavily financial. There's a lot going on, and so it's really a slippery slope. Anytime I've chosen to talk about this on my show, because what it ends up sounding like is just a whole bunch of hedging of bets, a whole bunch of vagueness, and that's exactly what it is. I always go back and say, you've nailed me. That's exactly what it is. But I challenge you to find anyone out there who'll give you a definitive answer on this. I don't care how close you get to the FSU or Clemson programs. You ask anyone, tell me, point blank, where will you be in 3 years? I promise you they'll still be answering the question a minute later. It's very, very convoluted. The only thing we know for sure is there is heavy motivation on their end to get out of their current situation. And so when there's motivation and it's backed financially with very big money, and it's going to cost a lot to change their situation, I still think that we are going to have action on that front. And I think the headline, maybe not the move itself, but the headline, a la OU Texas a few years back at SEC Media Days, may not be that far away.
Wow.
And I think you bring up a great point about realignment. It's not done, no question about it. It's going to be fascinating to follow. Scott made this comment earlier in the show. We just talked a little Big 12 and SEC. Scott made the statement, would Ole Miss be the best team this year in the Big 12? What say Josh?
Yeah, they would be. They'd be favored to win the Big 12 immediately if they were placed there. That's always a fun game I like to play, of taking over-under win totals, and if I were to place this team in another conference, how would it change their total? Or if I took this team and put them in another conference, how would they be favored amongst the rest? Here's one that'll make folks really uncomfortable. I don't think people realize how high up the Florida Gators would be in the Big 12 if you put them in there this year. And that's a team with a win total under bowl eligibility in the SEC.
Yeah,
and if I were to do nothing more than give them Ole Miss's schedule, that over-under win total would bump up a couple of wins. But if I were to take Florida and put them in the Big 12, keep the team as is, just change their schedule and conference alignment for this year, they would be among the favorites to win the conference. So it goes back to what we were just talking about. You might think to yourself, oh, that means the Big 12 is a pathetic conference. Well, if your barometer is you got to be able to win the national title or you're a pathetic conference, then I guess they are. I've never looked at our sport that way. I look at the Big 12. The Big 12 wrings every ounce of potential it can out of itself. It is a conference full of teams located in extreme isolation geographically. They do not have access to recruiting hotbeds. They do not have access to infrastructure or deep resource pools like your Georgias and Alabamas. What they do is they squeeze every drop out of the sponge that they can. They've got great coaches there. They have had to capitalize on eval and development. I'll tell you this, too. For all the folks driving around Huntsville right now that are kind of sick of what NIL and the portal or extreme coaching and roster churn has done to the sport, if you don't like that, the Big 12 is where that exists to the least degree. And you got competitive balance out there, too. That's why I love the product for what it is. But that doesn't change the fact that Florida may very well challenge to win that thing this year if they were out there.
Is there a headline that you think that'll come out of next week's SEC Media Days?
Oh, man, I don't know. Because obviously 3 years ago, no one could have expected that conference realignment headline bomb that dropped.
Yeah.
But outside of that happening, I am very curious to see how people judge Mike Elko, I guess. How do people gauge him? I think DeBoer coming to Alabama really overshadowed Texas A&M making the move they did.
Yeah.
I think A&M made a big move. You know what Elko is? We were just talking about the Big 12.
Yeah.
Elko's a guy who has all those qualities. He was at Duke, and the evaluation and development is a premium everywhere, but especially at the places where you don't have the money to make up for your mistakes. If you misevaluate half your recruiting class at Georgia, you theoretically could just go pay out of the transfer portal to recruit over it. Well, you can't do that at those smaller programs. And Elko learned that. And Elko also understands how to run an organization. Jimbo never did. And so he is taking over for Jimbo Fisher, and he brings all the qualities of a program that's used to not having financial resource about itself. But now he gets to dip those qualities into a very deep resource pool where he'll never be told no again, and he can build out a monster staff full of really quality guys, really hungry guys. That is the program to watch in this conference right now. And it's being overshadowed because of Texas, period, because of what happened with DeBoer and Saban in Alabama, and it's just the SEC in general, so no one's focusing in on specifics. I think I'm really interested to see how you're talking about Elko and A&M. They're not playing a football game next week, but it's the first time most of the conference and most of the country will have sat still and listened to that guy talk for an extended period of time.
Well, I have been saying it's an underrated move. I think it's not the sexiest, but maybe the best. And now one more question from one of our listeners. He said this will be good. You are from Columbus, Georgia, from nearby Phoenix City, Alabama. Tell us about the Bang Bang Lady.
Well, the Bang Bang Lady is an institution in that market. It's around this time of year when you start seeing the boom, boom, bang, bang. You start seeing advertisements for Big Mama's Fireworks out on Highway 431, just south of Phoenix City. And it's one of those things where if you know, you know. You know, it's like there's some streets in America where if someone drives down it a little too fast and they drive over the manhole cover and it rattles, you know they're not from here. Because anyone from here knows to drive slow over that manhole cover. Well, similarly, down there in Phoenix City and Columbus, if people say, who is this Bang Bang Lady, you know you've got a tourist on your hands. You got a visitor on your hands. Because if not, you understand that lady buys up every second of available advertising in the Columbus, Phoenix City television market that she can for July 4th, Memorial Day, etc. And it's a production, man. It's a show. It can also be a shock to the cultural senses if you've never seen the commercials before.
Well, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Late Kick Live and his Late Kick Pod at Late Kick Josh. We appreciate it, so we look forward to seeing you in Dallas.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's get our final break in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual Military Tribute Night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the fifth straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/events.
swing it well in the desert. They knock off the Diamondbacks last night. A little less thrilling than the night before, but still less.
Adam Duvall, 3-run homer. Big time step up there. Another big hit from Sean Murphy. Eli White as well. Chris Sale, 12 wins on his way to the All-Star game. 2 more night games in Arizona, but they're going for the series tonight, and you'll hear that on ESPN 97.7 The Zone.
And I know you haven't paid attention, but there's those that have. But Novak Djokovic.
Who?
You know.
I know.
He's advanced to a record equaling 13th Wimbledon semifinal. The number 2 seed moved in to the last 4 this morning.
Good job out of Novak. I have not watched many points except for when I turn my head right here and see it on the television. But good job out of Novak. And
yes, he's there. And
I haven't paid attention to the Liberal channel.
If you want to watch some good tennis here locally, don't forget the Under-16 National Clay Court Championships are going on over at the Athletic Club of Alabama. Some of the best juniors in the
Eddie Jakes.
In the North America, in
the
America,
tennis czar
in the
of
US.
Huntsville.
Yes, Eddie Jakes. It's going on over at the Huntsville Tennis Center, and it's going on over at the Athletic Club of Alabama. So if you want to watch some really, really good tennis, Under-16 Clay Court National Championships going on right now. So, all right, we did it. We did 2 hours.
Roxanne, we sure did.
Can you spin that into somehow overrated or something within? I know Josh tried to put a good spin on Brett Yormark, but come on, the dude was like flat out.
The cult of mediocrity.
Yeah, he was trying to be nice about saying that it's going to be competitive. It's going to be competitive because they're all media. They're all just average.
The cult of mediocrity.
Oh, all right.
I can't say lyrics like the czar, but I'll be on with him at 12:25.
I thought you were going to rhyme.
African Americans are the most likely to die from colorectal cancer. The most important thing you can do is get screened starting at